If your website is getting clicks but no conversions, it might be a total turnoff. So in today's video, I'm sharing 4 major mistakes that you might be making and how to fix them so that your website is not a total snooze fest. And make sure you stick through to the end because I also have some aesthetic recommendations on some things that you might be doing that are secretly turning people off. Now, one major mistake that I see is that your website feels more like a digital brochure than an actual website. And the truth is that we just don't do sites like that anymore. This mistake I see often because this is kind of like what the dawn of the internet was, where your website represented a digital storefront, if you will, like just kind of the online version of what you would do if you walk into a coffee shop. And that was just how we did it. It was all very corporate sounding and it was all very me, 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 me. Look how great I am. Look how all these wonderful things that I have. And it was not very customer centric. That's just not how we do websites anymore. You want it to be focused on them and all about their pain points and about how you can help. So if your website right now is a little bit too me focused and a little bit more like a digital brochure and less like a client facing, client helping website, then that may be turning people off. Another major mistake I see on websites is that they lack personality, because if it sounds generic, if it sounds like AI wrote it, then you're not going to stand out. The fact of the matter is that online businesses can be a little bit of a saturated space, and it can be hard to differentiate brand A from brand B, especially if neither one of them has personality. In today's saturated space, one of the best ways that you can stand out from the crowd is to have a very distinct brand voice. And when you write the way you sound, it really humanizes your brand and it helps people connect with you. Now, if this sounds a bit vague or abstract or overwhelming, I do have a free guide that you can grab in the description box below on how to find your brand voice. And it really walks you through how to analyze your voice and tone. It will help you create an engaging, consistent brand voice across your platforms. This next one is another pretty major mistake, and that is just having too much text and basically using your website like a place to info dump every single thought that's come into your mind, every single thing that you have to offer, and not guiding the customer to the next step. This is where you really need to go back to storytelling basics and give people just enough detail to move forward. You don't want to tell them where you were born. You don't want to tell them about your root canal that you just had, right? You don't need to info pack every single detail that is part of your course or part of your offer. You want to offer just enough so that they have a good understanding of it and so that they're enticed to move forward, whether that's moving down the page or clicking through the call to action. The fact of the matter is that giant walls of text are majorly overwhelming. People don't read them, especially with the attention spans that people have nowadays. They really are just skimming right through, and too much information is just a major turnoff. Make sure your copy is guiding people on where to go and what to do next without sharing too much information. The next major website mistake that I see that could be turning people off is using very vague or generic or jargon-filled language. Now, this is really common in the professional space because we are taught from a very young age to sound smart and to use a thesaurus and dig into those big words. But I want you to do the opposite. I want you to stop trying to sound smart. I want you to stop trying to sound like anything except yourself or how your brand sounds if that's not you. People do not connect with resume-like descriptions. People do not connect with your info dump that's happening on LinkedIn. Drop your marketing jargon because it can be confusing. It can be vague. It can be unclear. If somebody doesn't understand the technicalities behind it the way you do, and it doesn't make you sound human. The bottom line is that you're a personal brand. And if you're watching this, there's a pretty good chance that you're a coach or a service provider or some other kind of lifestyle brand, then you don't need this corporate sounding copy because it's actually going to be a turn off more than sounding impressive. Now, I promised you some bonus tips and I'm really excited to share these because these are also some major turn offs to people. And the first one is that your logo is just boom, huge, taking up so much space. And I can't tell you how often I see this on websites. And I know you spent a lot of money on your logo, or maybe you spent a lot of time designing it and you're really, really proud of it and you want to see it everywhere. But it does not need to be front and center, like taking up all this real estate on your website. That can be a major turnoff. Above the fold is a major piece of website real estate that you don't want to take too much of. So by all means, shrink the logo. I know it hurts to do it, but you got to shrink the logo and make it a little bit smaller. Another mistake I see very often is that your menu is wildly overcrowded and there's just too much going on. At most, you should probably have maybe 5 tabs at the top. That's your home page, your about page, maybe a contact or FAQ, maybe your blog and your services, and that's it. So try and look at your website and analyze it and see if there are things that you can nest together. There doesn't need to be 10 categories across the top. There's no reason for there to be that much. People do understand how to click through and use drop downs. There's also the footer, there's the sidebar, and you can use your CTAs to guide people to the next place. But an overwhelming menu bar is definitely one thing that can be very overwhelming and definitely put people off. So now that you know some of the things that are totally turning people off your website. Let's fix it. Watch this video that's playing on your screen right now. I'll show you the exact formula I use on a homepage that will help turn visitors into clients.